Hello, everyone. All right, so I know that we have a few more people that's going to join, but welcome. My name is Edie Johnson, and I am grateful that you have joined me on this YouTube Live. I promise you it will be very informative and also encouraging at the same time. And so I am going to encourage you all to use the chat box to ask me any questions that you may have that's pertaining to hair loss. So let's go ahead and get started. So if you can, put in the chat box, in the chat, like ask some questions. Meanwhile, one of the questions I'll bring up first is what is hair loss? So people always have a misconception about what is hair loss. Hair loss can come from many different sources, different ways. Um, and one of the popular ones that you see and you hear a lot of is, someone being stressed out. And if they stressed out, their hair, you'll lose their hair. And that hair loss is considered to be more of a genetic loss, where you may say, well, my mom has a hair full of hair, or, my dad has, recession, or he has some type of, hair loss. And so that's more of genetic. And then you have the kind that, you can get from just having things that's dealing with, with your body as a whole. So it's so many different causes of hair loss, but I would love to hear from you. So if somebody can type a question in, in the chat box and um, let me know like what questions do you have, because that's what I'm here for. I'm here to um, be able to answer questions as an expert. And as you all are typing, I see we have Sharonda Ware says, hello, yes, I have stress. So, Sharonda, if you have stress, we call that diffuse hair loss. And so, what happens is you have a fallout of hair that constantly sheds. It's because, one, your body is in shock and your body is letting you know something is going wrong. And so I know your question would be is, if my hair is shedding, what do I do? So you would definitely need to get that stress level taken care of. And there's so many opportunities where I can share with you on how to be able to do so. All right, so style values. So Sharonda, thank you so much for your question. So, Style by You says, how to identify different types of hair loss. So, I'm so glad you asked that question. So, it's so many different ways to be able to identify, loss. One, you have a loss. Let me just take this YouTube. Let me take this page off. 1 second. Um, um, Basically, one of the hair losses you can kind of identify is, do I have a small patch that's starting to grow and eventually getting bigger? Or I can identify if the area is itching, is it burning, um, um, or is it symmetrical? So you can identify different types of hair losses on the size of it, how long they had it, and the redness, inflammation, and so many other ways. So each one of them have a different identity. And of course, you have you have genetics, and you also have the one that, that's hormonal. And again, that one you don't really see like patches of baldness, you'll just get constant shedding. And so this is why I like to do like classes to definitely share with people, just consumers or professionals, on how to be able to identify and what do I need to do, because once you identify, what do you do? A lot of times we try to cover it up, or we try to style it to where it's like, okay, well, it's here, but I'm just going to cover it up. And newsflash is, it doesn't go away. So it's not a such thing as covering up hair loss. If you don't address hair loss, it will constantly become a problem. And so just to go back on your question, um, is you identify because it has different characteristics, and that characteristics would be either inflammation, redness, burning, the size of a loss, and how symmetrical it may be. So do we have any other questions that we can go ahead and answer? So isn't it like, okay, so Sharon said, what about age? My hair isn't like it was when I was younger, mid-40s. Yes, Sharonda. So yeah, it does change, right? So believe it or not, we have different cycles in life, meaning hair cycles. So you have hair cycles go from, with African American, you have like depending on the race or your nationality, you have different cycles. And so one of the cycles, Sharonda, would be 4 to 6 years for African American women. And it also depends if they have a mix, DNA as well. But for the most part, on average, it's 4 to 6 years. And so every 4 to 6 years, if you are introducing different nutrients or different type of stress levels, or your eating habit change, your sleeping habit change, stress level changes, all of that will affect that hair growth cycle. So that growth cycle you had when you were youthful, when you didn't have any stress and you didn't have any like problems or just life, that growth cycle will be, it will flourish and it will be at its best. It will operate, at its highest. But when you introduce stress and different lifestyles and illnesses and things like that to that particular growth cycle, then the hair will change as you get older, because as you age, things change. Things start to drop, things start to just do all types of things. And so how we correct that would be definitely just being able to put different type of nutrients and things like that, in the body to be able to help with that. So, hey, Nikki, question is, what about female pattern baldness? My BFF literally lost her hair over time, started on the sides and thinning. It is literally shedding into a mohawk, but she said every day to shave it off bald. So, female pattern baldness, sometimes, here's the thing. African American women typically don't have female pattern baldness. It's typically more of self-infliction, which is more of a scarring. So I would love to see, I would love for, your BFF to contact me and do like a virtual consultation so I can be able to help, her to see if it's female pattern thinning or is it more of a self-infliction. Because actually, if a person has more of a genetic loss, which we consider that to be female pattern baldness, then that one's easy to rectify, to bring back, because it's more so of stopping things that's that's influencing, like this in the blood. You can help better with that. But for the most part, again, I would love to see her, because again, when a woman is losing their hair and they saying shave it off, because here's the thing. You can have female pattern baldness, you can have scarring alopecia, you can have diffuse, you can have multiple different types of hair loss on one head, depending on what it is. And so that's why it's important to, contact the expert to be able to show pictures and things like that so we can be able to help them. So thank you for your question, Nikki. So if your scalp burns and itches before hair loss, is there something to put on the scalp to lessen the sensation? The answer to that is yes, it is. It depends on what the itching and burning is, because a lot of times, depending on the loss that we see, will have a different type of inflammation. So if you was to do, like, say, for instance, put on some, if you see a little circle there and you know that, oh, I want it to grow, if you put any growth serum on it, if it's inflamed, it's going to burn even more. So you have to make sure the first goal is always to get the inflammation. And if it's itching and if it's burning, then there's inflammation, and it needs to basically be addressed first. And then, of course, you can put something on the scalp to help with that sensation. So thank you again for your question. I know that we have some questions of our own, but I'll go ahead and read this one here. So what are some of the treatment options that can be ordered So, Stalba, Yules, I'm glad you asked that question. So, if you stay to the end, we'll give you the next steps on how to be able to help with some of the treatment options. And so, I'll be doing like a full on like class next week on how to, whether you are a stylist or whether you are a professional, healthcare professional, or just a consumer. And we'll be learning how to be able to take care of some of the same things because guess what? A lot of times when my cases come into my place of business, they do all of their treatments at home. None of those treatments are pretty much done inside of the salon. It's more so these things you can take care on your own. And so next week I'll be doing another, more in depth um, um, treatment options so people can be able to order products, knowing what to do and how to do it, and how long should they do it for. All right, so you asked some great questions. Thank you so much for one being on and then being a advocate for someone else because maybe you don't have the laws, and maybe it's someone else, a family friend or what have you, and you just want to, you're seeking answers. So the next question is, what is alopecia? So basically, alopecia is it's the study of loss. It's the study. It's basically when you just have a loss period. Doesn't matter what it is. It can be small, medium, large. It can be shedding. It doesn't matter. Hair loss. I mean, alopecia is basically the loss of hair, and it doesn't matter if it comes from you basically having to feel like you having to trim your hair all the time. That's still a form of loss. With that breakage, and then also too, like I said, when you have like the very traumatic experiences where you're seeing patches of loss, all over the hair. One of the things I always try to remember, to not like say the word baldness because, it can be offensive at times. And so, we just say patches of loss or, we kind of just say like, circular patches or what have you, or whatever the laws is, or just tremendous shedding. So Vonda, she says, one of my customers' granddaughter was attacked by a pit bull, pulled a lot of her hair out. There's some fuzz coming back, but other areas is smooth. This happened a week ago. So Vonda, if for that area to be very smooth, so did the dog, when she got attacked by the dog, was it that the dog took the hair out, or was it the impact of the stress um, that she pulled a lot of hair out? Because if she actually pulled the hair herself, we call that trichotillomania, and that's more of self-infliction. And then yes, the area would be smooth, and that's more of a scarring alopecia. And normally with that, that's more mental self-healing, and there's no treatment, for a person that experienced that because it's more so mental and it's them pulling the actual hair out. So, okay, the dog took the hair out. Okay, so great. So if the dog took the hair out, then if it's very smooth, then you pretty much have to give it some time. I would definitely recommend that we like start a treatment because what you will want to see is for the follicles to be stimulated because if it's an attack and something was pulled, trauma to the head and to the scalp, and so you don't want those follicles to lay dormant because let me tell you how follicles work. They can just be like, oh, okay, so you don't want me to move, you don't want me to do anything, so I'll just kind of chill out here. And then especially if it's a child, you want to make sure that you stimulate those follicles. And so I would definitely recommend some treatment. But if it's smooth, and if it's just a week ago, she definitely have stimulating the follicles. She definitely have hope of growing that back. So, any other questions? So, what happened to Jada Pickett Smith? What kind of alopecia was that? So, she looked like when I looked at her, when I was looking at her pictures, like over time. So, that is called diffuse alopecia. And so, with that alopecia, basically, you start to thin out all over, but not go bald. But over time, it gets so thin where it looks like strands of hair, like very few less of what you have. And so typically you just want to shave it off. So that is pretty much caused from trauma, stress, surgeries, and basically like different things, elements and stuff like that when it comes to, the body. So, so what are some of the common causes of hair loss? Some of the common causes of hair loss is basically, again, self-inflicted, um, nutritional, and then also to like genetics as well. And so, and when I say self-inflicted, I mean, I'm a hairstylist. I've been a hairstylist for almost 30 years. And I know that some things that I might do, some services I might do, I may happen to pull a little tight, or maybe I applied this relaxer in the same place for a long time, over and over again. Or maybe I have gave my client a ponytail that was pulled too tight. So all those things can be a common cause of loss. It doesn't have to be where you, the person, do it. It can be your stylist that you're paying, or your barber, or what have you. Some other causes, again, like I said, is nutritional. It could just be that stress, and then also to just genetics. Genetics is a monster. A lot of times, you can't pick. You always say you can't pick your parents, and you definitely can't pick your DNA. And so, some people are born with alopecia totalis, where you lose like your eyebrows, you don't have any arm hair. So some of that stuff can be passed down from generation to generation. But just so you know, it's so many different causes. It's so important though to seek a specialist, like a certified trichologist, or either, a dermatologist, to figure out what that loss is. And so this is why, in, year 2022 and moving forward, I'm just going to really push, a lot of people to just, talk about their loss, to come out and just be more intentional with trying to seek to figure out, what it is that I can do to help you. And you don't have to live, with the loss. It's definitely things that you can do to, to help. So, hey, Lanice, so mad I missed my picture, but hey, Evie, may you talk about this later, but we can talk about it. Long to leave braids and protective style. Yes, Lanice. So thank you so much. So braiding is something that is not something you want to do over and over and over again. Braiding is a style just to help you transition, or just to have as a new look. It's always good to kind of leave the braids in, depending on the person's growth, no more than 2 months, and I always say 4 to 6 weeks. A lot of times we can get a little out of control where we get, these braids or these protective styles, and we leave it in for months. I've seen it to where people can do it for 4 to 6 months. And just understand, when you leave those protective styles in your hair for overdue time, you can get a staph infections. And so basically that's like a fungus on the scalp, which is causing another hair loss. So it's so many different things. And then, yes, is it things that you can do with treating your scalp and cleansing your scalp when you have these protective hairstyles in the process? Yes, it is. But at the same time, that's not something you want to constantly do. And then we have to learn for ourselves and teach, our, friends, family members, clients, or whoever, that it's not okay to wear them hair extensions for 4 months. It's not okay to leave those braids in and just kind of like get it redone. And it's not okay to feel these protective styles. If it's tension, if it's something that you feel, then it's not right. I got my hair braided about, let's say, about maybe 8 days ago. And when I get it braided, I don't feel not one braid that they put in my hair, not one. One, because it's just, you're not supposed to feel it. It's not that I have a tender scalp. It's just that, styling should be pleasurable and not fearful, and not, hurtful at all. And so, and understand, when you feel it, when you feel anything been done to your hair, then it's a problem. Whether it's a relaxer, whether it's, even being shampooed, or just having like a style pulled in a ponytail, like, again, protective style. You don't want to do that. And so, Lise, I'm glad you brought that up. So to answer your question, I would say no more than 2 months. And so therefore, anything less than 2 months would be great. So Sharonda, you have a lot of questions, and I'm so glad you do. That means that you really are interested in like knowing and figuring out what the loss is, what hair loss is. So can you explain hair loss associated with diet, good or bad, or medicine? Yes. So all of those things, Mr. Sharonda, is associated with diffuse hair loss, and so it's spelled Diffuse, diffuse, and basically it's a fallout all over that's not associated with patches of loss. And so what happens is if your diet is off, a lot of time we do these crash diets, and then we like, oh my god, my hair is coming out and I've lost all this weight. Or let's even talk about COVID for an example. A lot of people who are getting the virus, they're going to experience hair loss because a lot of people get really, really sick, and it's trauma to the body. And the body, your lungs are filled up with all this stuff, and you know what I mean? So these people can experience diffuse hair loss, and basically that's a shedding all over without seeing patches of loss. And so with these crash diets, like I said, when people get like the weight loss surgery, that can definitely cause the hair to come out. And if you are taking medications and you're taking the wrong medication, or your doctor changed your dose, all of those things can cause you to have hair loss as well. And so understand that it's almost like you're walking, like on eggshells, or it's very, very, as I say, sensitive, because everything you do can cause you to lose, your hair. So hello, Makai. So yes, let's talk about the COVID. I've seen it coming in a salon. Yes, they're 90% of the time, if they have COVID and they were down, especially now with the vaccinations and things like that, you all are going to see a lot of people coming in, losing their hair. And that's due to the shock of the body. Now, here's the thing. It's not going to happen right away. It takes them, a few months to be able to see it. A lot of times when it's diffuse hair loss, everybody always think, oh, it's supposed to happen right away. And it doesn't happen right away. It takes a little while to get in the system. And then we don't really think about it at that time. We just like, oh, wow. My hair is coming out, but why? Nothing happened to me. But you're not thinking about it, what happened to you months ago. You're not thinking about the COVID or the flu or the cold you may had a couple months ago. But you understand, you all, if you have experienced COVID or know people, or if you haven't come in a salon, they're definitely going to experience it because it's a shock to the body. So thank you again for that, Makai. So we have Tisha Johnson. She said, I have a spot in my hair that is thinning, bald. It itches so bad. I try my hardest to scratch, but I do until it bleeds and scabs. So do you have any tips on calming itching? I have a ton of tips of calming itching, but I would love to see it first. One of the things that we do not like to do is make recommendation without seeing. So that's going to be where I'm going to encourage you to, go to my website, to eviejohnson.com, and go to the tab where it says forms, fill that out, and you're going to be prompt to go to consultation. And then with that consultation, you will put your information and then upload some pictures so I can see. And the reason why we don't give recommendation, because again, we're talking about inflammation. We're talking about like, is this more self-inflicted? Is it more your body telling you, I can't take this anymore and I'm causing itch? And then here's the other thing, you all that are all that are here on this YouTube with me. It is so crazy because we don't even realize like some of the things that we eat will cause us to itch and to create that itching and burning in that spot to make you be like, wow, I feel like I just want to, take my head off. And we can eat that same food every day. Like it may feel good going down, but you don't realize that it'll cause a problem, irritation somewhere else. And typically you will see it on the scalp because scalp is skin, and so over time you'll just start to see it. So again, thank you, Ms. Johnson, for your question. So Simply Lisa says, what about wearing wigs? Does it thin out over time? Absolutely. Yes, Miss Lisa, a lot of times too, we don't wear the right wigs. So, case in point, you have someone who's like, oh yeah, I just want to go get this wig. I'm going to the beauty supply store and I just want to wear this wig and I'm just going to put it on really quick. Well, what happens is they don't realize inside of the beauty supply store, where you are getting commercial like wigs, they spray chemical on that, on the little lace thing in those bands. So over time you'll start to have traction because the band is taking out like more like a headband halo. So yeah, that causes hair loss. All of these lace fronts and these glues that we're doing, I see so much on social media and in people's salons as well when I go to visit, where we are putting this glue and this lace on the very most fragile hair of our head, which is our hairline. That is the most fragile. It's going to come out the quickest. And so we are causing stress and trauma to that area. And so by default, yes, it will come out. And that's more self-inflicted, which we call traction alopecia. So yes. So good questions. I'm loving it. I can pretty much do this all day. And so we'll go ahead and take maybe two more questions and then we'll go ahead and do a close. And I'll give you all a call to action to further your, knowledge on, hair loss. Okay. So Style Bayol say, for someone that's experiencing hair loss, what does their routine look like? Okay, great question. So their routine, depending on the laws, I go by percentages. If it's 40% loss, 50% loss, 20%, 80%, will dictate how often they will shampoo the hair, and that will look like either applying a mask to the scalp, a shampoo, conditioner, some topical things, and then also to the most important, the nutrition is vitamins. Every case that I see always take vitamins because we got to address what's inside in order for the outside to be beautiful and amazing. And so yes, that's pretty much what their regimen look like, and they would definitely at some point do it at least once a week, because the more that you cleanse the area, the better results you will have. So thank you for that. And so Ashley Brown, my girl, she said, after due to years of infrequent shampooing, i.e. only shampooing once or twice a month, is there a way to come back from that after decades of this? Um, it is, but the hair does change over time. And so what happens is when a person is only shampooing once or twice a month, they kind of have like a build up. So over time, you have to start using, products to have more of very, very, very mild. Um, as I can say, well, first of all, you need to find out why they're not shampooing, but once um, why they not shampooing as often. A lot of times people, as a myth, people say that if you don't shampoo, that it leaves the hair more moisturizing. They get more, as I say, I guess they have more shine and moisture to the hair, which is not true. I believe, a lot of times when we had that myth long time ago, it was due to having more relaxed hair, chemical treated hair, and not more of the natural. But now that we are addressing natural hair, people don't like to shampoo as much. They're doing like cold washes and things of that nature. And so, can you come back from it? Absolutely, you can. You just have to use the right products depending on the texture type that you have and porosity level, and then that would dictate what you would use going further. But it's definitely a way to come back from it. So I thank you for your question, Ashley. And so, how can hair loss be corrected? It can be corrected in so many different ways, right? It can be corrected by, again, like I said, taking vitamins, having a routine regimen at home or in the salon, by applying certain products, and then also to just staying on it. And, correcting it is not hiding it. Correcting it is addressing it, and addressing it with, someone that's very familiar with different types of hair loss. But running away from it is definitely never the answer. So, do we have any other questions? I can take one more and then we'll go ahead and, close it out for today. So Tisa says, hello. Any particular vitamins? Absolutely. There's a lot of different vitamins that they have locally on the market, but it depends on the laws. You don't just take vitamins because it's a loss. You need to figure out, is it more hormonal? Is it more from them having genetic loss, which is, that's something with dealing with the testosterone levels. And then also too, is it to where this person is allergic to certain things? And so to answer your question, there's multiple vitamins on the market. Preferably I like to use, Hair Fox. And so next week when I do my next class about hair loss, it's going to be me discussing products, showing you products and what to do and how to purchase them. And then also to how to be able to share with someone else on how to use it. Especially, Tisa, with you being a hairstylist, I know you see a lot that comes in your chair and you want to make recommendation. But the best thing is first to do is figure out what the problem is so we can then make recommendation based on what it is that they need at the time. So I hope that answers your question. Is vitamins, yes, we just need to figure out what the loss is to be able to help them. All right, so that's pretty much the last question. And so this is what I would love for you all to do. Well, first of all, thank you so much for being here on this live. Like I said, I'm going to be doing many of these. It's not so much of just about you, meaning us. It's so much about, being able to help so many other people because, believe it or not, everybody deals with hair loss. Yes, I have a hair full of hair. It's blonde. It's beautiful. But guess what? In the middle of my hair back here where I can just touch it and I can just play in it and I just be pulling at it. That's more of, tension. It's tension. It's, we call it trichotillomania. You just keep pulling on it. And it got to a point where I pulled on it so much, I was like, look, I don't even need it anymore. Let me just shave it up. And so that's pretty much how I got to my style. So don't just think that when you see a person who has beautiful like hair full of hair, that they don't have hair loss, concerns or issues, because everybody does. Whether you feel like, my hairline is a little, faint, I want this to fill in, or, I have this area was much finer. And just understand that, everybody deals with it, and so it's one of those situations we just need to be able to, address it. And so again, like I said, I want to be able to, be there for you, so if I'm there for you, you can be there for someone else. And so with that being said, I would love to invite you all next week on January the 17th. I am going to do basically like a one-on-one. We're going to do a Zoom and we're going to have a conversation. We're going to talk about the different losses and what can you do, with the person you might know, or you might have that client in your chair. How can I help her? And guess what? Those people, if you're a professional, that's going to be more money for you, because if you're helping them with their loss, there comes retail. Right? So you got to buy product to be able to help them, and they got to buy the product from you. So understand it's an investment, but at the same time, this investment is only going to, help you help them and then help you at the same time. So everything is going to be, a profit. And then for you all that might just be the consumer who just wants to help yourself or help a loved one. Okay, that's fine. That's great as well. So just knowing that you are taking steps on moving forward on how to be able to help someone that is in need of your help. And guess what? The regimens and the things that I'm going to show you next week, to share with you next week, they work like a charm. I've never not had anyone that it does not work on. Never. Like it works. And I've been doing it for over, let's say 10 years, and I've never had anyone not be able to benefit from all the things that, the regimens and stuff like that. So next week, again, we're going to talk about hair losses and get more in depth in how to be able, what does it look like, show some pictures, and then if you see something that looks like this, what do I do? So I know right now we're talking, but it would help if you're able to see some photographs and be like, or send your photograph, upload it, and be like, what is this and what do I do? So that can be, a virtual consultation for you as well. But like I said, it's a benefit for everyone. It's a win-win. And so again, next week, January the 17th, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to do a Zoom, and we're going to have a conversation about different regimens and how can I help, this person or myself help with their loss. And I believe the information is going to come up in just a minute on what you need to do. But those of you who are now joining, again, feel free to go to my website. And my website is ediejohnson.com, and go to the tab where it says forms, fill out the consultation, go through the prompts, answer the questions, and then, upload pictures so I can be able to see and to be able to help, whether it's your client as well. Sometimes, a lot of times with people that have either taken my class before or just need help in general, they definitely go to, email me, and they'll send questions, be like, okay, I have this loss, and they'll kind of tell me their story, and then we're able to help them, because guess what? The way of the world right now is definitely, digital. And so we don't ever mind not being able to, do digital. At one point, being certified trichologists, we never like doing like digital work over the phone, like, because we don't diagnose, we just kind of like make assessments. And so making assessments virtually was like unheard of. But right now the times are different, and we're able to do so many different things. And so we would love to help you be able to do that virtually. And so the link is in the description. So you all, again, next week, you can join me, January the 17th, 8 to 10 Eastern Standard Time, 2 hours, Zoom of some different practices and things that you can do, and different pictures of hair loss and things that you, might see that you might need help with. So if you all are good with that, I know you say the description. I don't see the description, so I'm guessing it's in the link in the chat. So if you click it, I know that it's price points associated with it. So it's not going to be, a whole lot of people, anything like that. Of course, we'll continue to promote it, but I want to make sure that it's very nice and, as I say, quaint, very little, as I say, less is best. And that way people can get their questions answered and things of that nature. And so again, the link should be in the chat for you all to be able to, join me next week, so talk about more hair loss. And so I do have a question, and you can put it up here in the thing before we get off. I would love to know, because I can't see any faces, and I'm used to seeing faces and communicating back and forth, but I would love to know if any of this information so far has helped you. Let me know if it's a yes. And thank you. Yes, I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I love it. I love it. I love to be able to get like feedback. Yes, actually, I can't wait to watch. Thank you. So again, if you have somebody who wasn't able to make it on tonight, like, share the information with them. And again, like I said, it'll be a lot more informative of how to be able to, take care of it going forward. Today was more so just having a conversation, just putting your questions out there, because a lot of times we just don't know. We hear hair loss, we hear alopecia, but what is really alopecia? What is it like? How do we get it? How do we get rid of it? And so I just wanted to be able to answer those basic questions. And then as time progresses, we can get deeper and deeper and deeper. I'm not going anywhere. I told you my intention for 2022 and going forward is to be able to talk more about the things that people are hiding from, and that's hair loss. And so with that being said, you all, my name is Edie Johnson. I thank you all for being here. And being patient with me. You was on my live early with no volume, and just supporting me over the years, and being able to, take the information that I'm giving you and being able to provide, being of use to someone else. And if it wasn't for someone else, it was for you. And so again, Thank you, Evie Johnson. I see you, and I encourage all of you all to click the link to sign up for next week. Please, professional or non-professional, doesn't matter. You know, you can join me next week. So thank you.